Good morning.
Happy
Happy
Saturday.
Saturday.
We back, y'all. We back. We back, y'all. We back.
I know you had a busy couple of weeks. You celebrated your birthday and you went out of
Yes.
town and got some water and some sand in your feet. So how are
Yes.
you doing? Are you
I,
rested?
I'm getting there. I had to shut it down yesterday because I was like, okay, Maya, you've been flying by the seat of your pants, so take a minute. So I did shut it down a little early last night so I could be fresh for y'all this morning. And so, but yeah, it's been an awesome couple of weeks. Really, really awesome. I feel, I'm thankful to be a year wiser and stronger and all that good stuff, and grateful and excited for what God has for me in this next year. And so that's been really good. And yeah, I'm just blessed. I feel really, really good. And I'm grateful for, yeah, just grateful. So that's been awesome. And spending time with some family this week, with the pandemic, haven't really had a chance to spend time with family and see people the way I'm used to seeing them. So it's been good to reconnect with some people that I've only been seeing via Zoom for the past couple of years. So, but God is faithful. It's been really, really good. So yes. How about you, Toya? How's your spring break been?
It's been good. I went to a sauna this week. It was a
Yeah.
infrared, like dry heat type of sauna. And so
Yes.
I learned all about the different benefits of the different infrared lighting to help with like losing weight, arthritis, pains in your body, joint pains, all kinds of different benefits. So that was a pretty cool experience. I was able to rest and relax. They had like a TV, like it was a like a private room. You had a TV in there, and you can watch Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. It was just a time for like to rest and relax and sweat. You burn
Amen.
like anywhere from 200 to 400 calories in a 40-minute session.
Amen.
So that was pretty cool. I definitely want to go back to the sauna. And then with the kids, we've been doing a lot of spring cleaning at our house and rearranging rooms and organizing things this week, and we took the kids to like Chuck E. Cheese. They went to the park. Um, and we might do like a safari thing this weekend, like a zoo safari thing. But we've been
Love it.
just kind of keeping it chill, but it's
Good.
been nice.
But you look great. You got that glow. I'm loving it. Yes. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Love it. So enjoy, girl. Enjoy. And before you know it, summer will be here. So hey, I love it. I love it. So all right, y'all. For those of you that don't know, we're gonna be sipping some tea this morning. Okay. And so we'll get into what that TEA, yes. We'll get into
Yes.
what that TEA stands for in a bit. But first, we got to get into what's trending. Okay. So I just have two topics, two stories I want to share with y'all today so we can kind of weigh in. Okay. So first up, okay, Selena Gomez. She says that fasting or not being on social media for 4.5 years has really been a blessing for her. Like for those of you that may or may not know, Selena Gomez is an actress, she's a singer, and all that to say, she said no to social media about 4.5 years ago due to mental health reasons. And she has said since then, she has had much more clarity. She has been more present, which is huge. I feel like I want to talk about that for a minute. And she's just felt happier. And so that's a beautiful thing. I mean, we definitely talk about the pros and cons of social media, but to hear it from at one point, I mean, Selena Gomez had like millions of followers on social media. So I'm sure it was a lot harder for her to say no to social media than for like me, I say, who's got, far fewer followers than that. But I still get caught up every now and then. So all that to say, what do you think, Toya? What do you think about Selena saying no to social media for 4.5 years?
I think it's a beautiful thing. I try to think back to what life was like before social media, and it's kind of hard to think. I think I was in college when my first year in college when Facebook even like came out, and I think that was like the first big social media thing. So that was back in like 2000 and maybe 3. Uh I think. And, it was kind of small. And then, I started reconnecting with like high school friends. And then it just kind of continued to grow and grow. And then, your parents or your older people start getting on Facebook, and then it wasn't cool anymore. And then everyone started switching over to like Twitter, I think was next. And then Instagram. But life before social media, like I don't know what people were doing in their little spare time, but I try to minimize social media. Like I'll post for like becoming Eva, stuff like that. But I don't have time really. Like I've got four
Yeah,
kids, a
yeah.
million things going on in my house. So I don't really have time. I don't know when people have time. But I can see the benefits of staying away from it because I think social media will sometimes just highlight like the positive things going on in your life and just show other people like, look at me, like look at my family or whatever, just like the positive moments. And we know that life is not like that all the time. It's a snapshot. Like it's not authentic, I guess, and
Mhm.
not super transparent,
Yeah,
when you think about social media and like real life problems. People are not broadcasting their real life problems on social media.
yeah.
People use filters and all kinds of things to like give this like illusion of what they look like. So I think it's great to kind of take a break from social media when you can, just to kind of reset mentally, because you can get into comparing yourself to others, like how they're living, or, ooh, they got to go to this vacation, or just all kinds of different things, just comparing yourself. And when you start comparing yourself to others, that's when you can really stop being content with your own life and stop being grateful and thankful for your own life.
Preach. No, that's real. That's very, very real. I can honestly say though, I am so grateful that I did not grow up in the age of social media, because adolescence, like that period of time when you're just trying to figure yourself out and you're already insecure, it's like I couldn't imagine having social media and then at the same time I'm dealing with my own insecurities, but I'm constantly comparing myself to other people, and I'm constantly looking at, well, so and so looks this way, or so and so has this many followers, or this many likes, or so and so's going here and doing this and has this boyfriend. I mean, like, I could not imagine, like, because when you're already like dealing with your own insecurities and you're young and impressionable, you're not able to necessarily filter the fact, like what you were saying, this isn't their everyday life. This is not like a true picture of what their life looks like. It's just a snapshot, it's just a highlight reel. You're not able to process that at a young age. And so oftentimes you have today's adolescent, today's youth that are exposed to high volumes of social media, really dealing with depression, having suicidal thoughts, mental health issues, because they aren't able to connect, like, hey, this person's, what you're seeing is not their real life. It's just a highlight reel. And so I would encourage, and I'm sure you do this with your children as well. Children that are growing up in this age of social media, monitor and limit, quite honestly, their exposure to social media, because it can really, at that age in particular, cause more harm than good. And even, even with young adults, I mean, Selena Gomez, I don't know if she's even 30 yet. She's in her 20s now. And so for her to be dealing with mental health issues at such a young age, it's like, that stuff bleeds in. It really takes some time for you to become settled in who you are. And that's when you really are able to kind of decipher, like, hey, this isn't really this person's life versus, oh my God, their life is so much better than mine. So all that to say, just use social media wisely, please, y'all, because it can really cause some challenges down the line, and in ways that we don't even, that we're still figuring out, because like you were saying, social media is fairly new. It's fairly it's only been around for a shorter amount of time, so we're just now seeing what the long-term effects are of social media. So just be mindful, y'all. I mean, it definitely has its benefits where you can keep up with people and reconnect with people, and broadcast updates to a larger amount of people at once. But at the same time, like, you just want to be mindful of how you use it. So kudos to Selena, because honestly, as a young
Yes.
adult, I'm sure that was really hard. And I'm glad that she has been able to see the benefits of it, and she shared it with her peers, because hopefully other young adults will say, hey, I need to monitor how much of a role, social media is playing in my life as well. So yeah. And I love that being present piece. That's something I'm always actively working on, like being present, because we're so good at multitasking. We can, be in a meeting and be typing an email, or we can be watching TV and looking at social media and having a conversation. And it's like, you are not giving your full attention to any one thing at any one time. So really practice being present, especially in your relationships, with your friends, with your children, with your spouse. Like, be present, because that matters when you're able to give 100% of yourself at a time, instead of dividing and giving pieces here and there. So good stuff.
Yes.
So, all right. Anything else you want to weigh in on regarding Selena saying no to social media?
No, I was just gonna say, we probably won't even let our kids even know what social media is. They have no idea what it is, or I don't know if
Girl,
their friends talk about it, but our kids don't have any idea what it
yes,
is.
yes.
I don't
Hold
know
on.
if they're when they'll get phones or anything, but we're gonna hold off as long as possible.
Yes, yes, that's the way to go. Honestly, for the little people, give them as much time to be kids as possible. So, amen to that. All right, second story on what's trending. Y'all know we we steadily trying to keep up with the Kardashians, whatever's going on with them, and so we've talked a little bit about Courtney Kardashian and Travis Barker, that she is now engaged to. We shared that, I think, during our season premiere. So it recently came out that they kind of got married a week or so ago. And I say kind of because they were in Vegas after the Oscar, or no, not the Oscars, the Grammys, excuse me. And they posted some pictures later saying, hey, they stopped by the chapel. And what's that song? Going to the chapel, we're gonna get married. They posted some pictures like they did the deed. But here's the catch, y'all. They do not yet have their marriage license. So basically they just, wanted to string us along and say, hey, we got married, but not really. So I personally am not trying to go to a chapel and go through the whole ceremony without a marriage license. That's just me personally. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Tori?
Same, same. Like if we're gonna get married, like we're gonna do it for real one
Facts.
time. We're
Facts.
not going to Las Vegas and just being all like cute for photos
Yeah.
and like why? What's the purpose of that? Like
Yes.
no.
In the words of Jagged Edge, we ain't getting no younger. We might as well do this. Come on, y'all. Meet me at the for real. If we gonna do it, let's do it.
It's
So,
I mean, marriage is a big thing. It's not like a like a just like let's do this for fun. Like, oh, let's go to the chapel in Las Vegas. It's a serious thing. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, it
Not
is.
for me.
Facts, facts. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if they're officially. You do you think they're really gonna tie the knot, or you think they're just gonna keep stringing us along? Like, you think they're doing this
I
for fun?
think they're gonna keep stringing us along. I don't think they're gonna really like. I'm not trying to talk about anyone, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, if Ryan came at me talking about, yeah, let's go Las Vegas, get married, I would have eyed him and been like, boy, please. Like, no, I'm a real woman. Like, you better
Hey,
put a ring on it. You better ask my parents. Like, he did all of that. Like, nah.
yes, Toya.
You gotta
Yes.
have some standards.
Run the list, girl. Run the list. That's
You
what I'm
gotta
talking.
have some standards.
Come on, real woman. Come on. No, that's true. That's true. And for those of y'all that are single, that's a red flag. So if you're looking for red flags, we just dropped one for you. There you go. I love it. Anything else on what's trending before we get into the tea?
Let's get into the tea.
All right. So, y'all know at Becoming Eva, we break stuff down for you. Okay. So, yes, the T stands for truth about us because we're women that walk in truth. Okay, y'all. We walk in truth to the best of our ability. So, we're going to open up a little bit for y'all today. We're going to be transparent and just share a little more about ourselves. Some of y'all had some questions that you were curious about. We even had some questions about each other that we were curious about. So we're going to throw those in there too and just, spill a little bit of tea as it relates to truth about us. Okay. So, Toya, would you like to start?
Yes. So, becoming Eva fans, I don't know if you guys know or remember that Maya and her hubby, Chris Dawson, produced a short film called The Dress. I believe it was 2021, the
Yep.
end of 2021.
Yep.
And I went to the premiere. It was awesome. I just wanted to know what were some of your greatest challenges in or since completing the film, because you guys did the hard work. You found the actors and actresses, you filmed it, you directed it, produced it, you connected with a theater to get it on the big screen. Like, what has been the biggest challenges since after all of that?
Girl, it's so funny you mention that because we were literally just talking with family about this yesterday. Like, I would say honestly, the greatest challenge since completing the dress and well, I won't even say releasing it, but since completing the dress and premiering it has really been getting buy-in from other people. We've been shopping distributors because we wanted to have it available to stream online, and we've gotten turned down, y'all, right and left. For I don't know. Some people haven't given us. Most people haven't given us feedback as far as why it's a no. It's just a no. So we're like, okay. Any type of feedback you have would be great. So distribution has been hard, and then also we've been entering it into festivals and short film competitions. So the handful that we've entered it in so far, we have had no takers. Like, it's literally been no. We're on a waiting list, I think, for one now. And so our plan, and still is for the entire year of 2022, because in the world of films, short films in particular, I mean, y'all, literally, there's a festival, multiple festivals every week. And if you want to enter into it, you have to pay a small fee. Which is not a big deal, but at the same time, those fees add up. So depending on how many festivals you want to enter in, and kind of gauging whether or not you think your project will be a fit for that festival in particular, is work in and of itself, because you want to be strategic with that. You don't want to spend $1 million, and you easily could, in just submissions, and this is not knowing whether or not they'll say yes at all. So we've really been trying to be strategic in that and dedicating this entire year to submitting for as many festivals, as many competitions, and still distributors as possible. So pray, y'all. I will definitely say keep us in your prayers, because we definitely know that God graced us to do this short film in 2021. It was not something that could have been done in and of our own strength. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the way things came together, as far as pulling together the cast, the crew, the resources, it was really the hand of God. And so we know that he's allowed us to do it for a reason. We just trying to figure out, okay, God, like what you doing? What you doing? So we're just continuing to put one foot in front of the other and prayerfully submit to different festivals and competitions that we think would be a good fit, as we have the resources, again, because that costs money too, and praying that somebody will say yes. I know we were texting back and forth about something, and you had said all we need is one yes, and that's literally been where we've been as far as this project is concerned. All we need is one yes. We can have a million no's, but all we need is one yes. So we're praying, y'all, for that one yes, and we're praying for just wisdom and insight as far as knowing what rings, if you will, to throw our hat into, what who to pitch it to, and who to where to enter it, all of that. So because we can't enter it into everything, we don't have the funds for that. So just being wise with that as well. So those are the challenges that we have experienced thus far since the premiere. But great
Well,
question.
don't give up. Don't give
Amen.
up.
Amen.
Keep going, keep going. And I believe, yes, I believe there, I said there is a yes for like every no that you get. You just got to find the people
Amen.
that are going to say yes and keep going. Persevere. Don't give up.
I would say that.
And I think the next question I had related to your film was, where do you see your short film going?
Mm,
You kind of answered it a little bit, but I didn't
yeah.
know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
I will say, for those of you that don't know, my husband and I have a company called Creative Air, and so it's two sides of the same coin. Basically, we do provide consulting services for artists and small businesses, but we also use those funds, basically that revenue, to create original content. We're content creators. I mean, gosh, as long as we've been married, I mean, we wrote the dress our first we maybe our first or second year of marriage, but as long as we've been married, and even before then, we would bounce ideas off of each other. But we're always creating content. If it's ideas for a pilot TV show, if it's a feature film, if it's another short film, if it's a play, if it's all kinds of stuff. So all that to say, the goal for the dress was really, number one, to complete it. We were like, we got to create something. We got to create something. And so we can't just have all these ideas and just be like, oh, that's a good idea. But like, we got to bring this stuff to fruition. So that was the goal, the first goal with the dress. And then the second goal was to build a network, start building a network, if you will, of artists and other creatives and people that are in the industry. So they start to know who we are and have an idea of the work that we do. And that, I can honestly say, that was accomplished as well. So I'm grateful for those two goals being completed, because literally everyone that we worked with really said, they said they enjoyed working with us, and they were like, please let us know when you're doing something else, which is, those are the key words that you always want to hear. Let me know when you're doing something else, because it's important. It's important to have those relationships in place. And it's quality people that, we were intentional about surrounding ourselves with people that were smarter than us in areas that we knew nothing about. We know quality, we know excellence, we know project planning, we know content creation, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, but sometimes we didn't know the how. Like, how do you get great lighting? How do you get great audio? How do you get, great shots? And how do but we had people around us that were very intentional about supporting us in that area. So shout out to, and I see his wife in the chat. Shout out to Sean David Grant. He was excellent support during this time. Shout out to Will Smith. He was an excellent support during this time. He not the Will Smith, but he has a company. He has a company called Waywater Entertainment. He was a huge support during this time as well, and helped bring people around us. So, but all that to say, those were some of the two main goals that we had when we did this film. And then, of course, to build a catalog, to really build a catalog of content that is completed. So that's some of where we see it going. Regarding particularly the dress, we would love for it to be picked up for distribution. We want to recoup. Recoup. We want to recoup what we invested in the project. So if that's through sales, shout out to everyone so far that has rented the dress or downloaded the dress. I actually put that link in here as well, because you can do that now if you're interested in that. We generated funds from that. We generated funds from the premiere, where we basically sold tickets for people to come to the premiere. We did a stream party. We generated revenue from that as well. But the goal is to continue generating revenue from it. If it's from a competition that we win, if it's from, like I was saying, if we get distribution, it could be from that. But the goal, where we see it going also, is it recouping recouping the money that was invested in producing it initially. So thank you for asking that.
Yes, yes, yes. Are you currently working on another film project or anything like that?
We're all. I mean, I always tell people. I said, if I had like a nickel, a dime, a dollar, whatever, for how many ideas, and really my husband, I feel like he wakes up with an idea every day, and my mind immediately is like, how are we gonna get that done? But but if I had a dime or dollar, nickel, whatever, for every idea that we come up with, we'd be millionaires by now. So there's always something percolating. But as far as what we're actively working on, film wise, we are working on a feature length film. I don't necessarily know if it'll be something we produce as much as it's something that we pitch and maybe sell to a larger studio to actually pitch and produce, because we really see it being that big. We actually see it being a trilogy ultimately. And so if we have the right buy-in, definitely, definitely. So yes, we are always working on something. But film-wise, we're working on a feature-length film right now. One of three.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for all of the tea questions. I feel a little drafty, like just all of the exposure, but it's good. It's good. It's good. I personally, one of the things I need to get better at is asking for help. So this has been an opportunity for me to ask for help, to ask for people to support, to pray, and to share any thoughts or ideas. So I'll put that link in the chat for anyone that's interested in streaming or downloading the short film, and I'll keep y'all posted. But definitely pray, y'all. Pray, pray, pray. In the words of my sister-in-law, she said, we're gonna pray for a closet for the dress. I said, all right, we need a home for it. So there we go. All right, so Toya, are you ready for my
I
questions?
am ready.
Okay. So, my first question is, if money wasn't an issue, if time wasn't an issue, like, what would you do or pursue? Like, what are you passionate about?
Awesome. So I think I kind of told you a little bit about like my big dream or my big goal in which I'm working towards is to have a space, like kind of like a combination of a self care facility where I could, my sister sells candles, I sell books, um, maybe even I know she kind of mentioned trying to have like a sauna, but even a place that like maybe therapists and counselors can work, even a place for us like where we can do an in-person talk show. It's just
Yes.
kind of like a big dream of mine. I don't know
Yes.
how the pieces will all fit together. But just a place, a space for women to really do focus on self care. Um, it's kind
I
of like
love it.
the big goal of mine. But we'll see. We're making strides and steps and towards it, I guess.
Yes.
And just
Yes.
under trying to figure out like how to get there, and what strategies and resources are available and where to find the space. I
Yeah.
think we're making steps towards that by having this becoming even podcast. So eventually, do an in-person talk show.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming. Like, I feel like, first of all, I'm still amazed at just your bandwidth as a person. Like I mean, literally, like the fact that you are a wife, a mother of four, that you work full time and you still have time for things like Becoming Eva, the fact that you are a two-time author, like that amazes me, because you did not put your life on hold just because you have a family. You were like, this is all a part of my purpose, and I'm going to be intentional about making time to pursue it. Like, that's huge. That is huge. So all I can say is like, kudos for real, because that just amazes me. That amazes me. And so you are, to your point, you are taking steps. You are actively taking steps to pursue that big vision, that big dream, that big goal. So don't yeah. If you have any doubts or questions about that, I'm here to put them to rest. You are definitely moving that direction. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. Self-care is so huge. And I mean, like you were saying, it's a huge part of the becoming Eva vision as well, because women, we first and foremost, we give, we serve, we do, and we rarely take time to actually be. We rarely take time to actually, pour into ourselves so that we have something to give to those that are around us. Oftentimes we're
Right.
running on fumes or we're running on empty, but self-care is so important. And I always tell people, like, not only do I do self-care for me, but I do self-care for you. I do self-care for you so that I can have something to give first and foremost, so that I'm pleasant when you're in my presence, that I'm not irritated, that I don't have an attitude, like, so that I'm at my optimal, because self-care benefits everyone that's around you. And oftentimes I think we think we're being selfish in order, to embrace self-care, but we're not. So kudos, girl, for real, for real.
I think self-care helps with your stress level,
Yes,
because with women, with our hormones, like
yes,
if we're stressed, we gain weight no matter
yep,
if we're dieting and exercising. If we don't keep our stress level down, we're going to gain weight regardless, because
yeah.
it's connected to our hormones. So I definitely think self-care is huge.
Facts. So, okay, my next question is, if you could go anywhere, all expenses paid, where would you go? Where would you go?
So I was thinking about this question. All I need is an all-inclusive bungalow
Okay.
anywhere with a private chef
Mm,
and sand and
okay.
water. I don't care
Mm,
where it is,
mm,
just a bungalow, private chef, sand, and water. And my spouse,
mm.
of course.
Yes, yes.
It could be Fiji, it could be anywhere in South America. I don't care.
I love.
Just give me some sand, water, a bungalow, and a private chef, and I'm good.
Well, praise God that Ryan can come along. That's all I can say. Praise God. That's
Oh,
a
I need the spouse too.
He'll take care. Ryan, the creek is not the same. It is not the same. You talking about we have a
No,
creek back.
the
That's
creek,
beautiful.
the creek in the creek in the backyard is not doing it for me, babe. It's not
It's
doing
beautiful.
it.
Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. I'm just saying that's not the same, sir. It's not. So I mean. So all right. But anyway,
That's the dream vacation. All inclusive.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So my next question is, if you could interview anyone, dead or alive, if you could interview anyone personally, one on one, in person, who would it be?
I want to interview Oprah. And you know why I want to
Oh,
interview her? Because she is an actor, an actress, or an actress,
mhm.
a television producer. She
Yes.
was a talk show host. And she's an author. So she has like many different qualities and traits that I hope to aspire to. Not saying I want to be the next Oprah, but she
You
has
could
a
be.
lot of
Don't sleep. Go ahead. Go ahead.
she has a lot of traits that I want to aspire to be. So I want to pick her brain, like, and it's different than just like Googling her and like researching like her interviews. I want to sit down and talk to Oprah and really pick her brain. So that's
I
who I
love
want to
I love it.
interview.
No, that's a great, great answer. I think what amazes or baffles me about Oprah is that she's such a giver. Like, she's an incredible, extravagant giver. Like, that just amazes me. And I think it's such a beautiful principle that she operates in, because and we talk about this, or I've said this before, that biblical principles are applicable and can be applied by anyone, and they'll reap the benefits of it. So I don't know if Oprah's a believer or not, but I will say those who give much receive much, and she is an example of that, because she gives extravagantly and she still continues to be the richest Black woman in the world. Like, I want to say she's the richest woman in the world, but I definitely is the richest Black woman in the world. That amazes me. The fact that she's a billionaire, and she literally, this little Black girl from Chicago, Illinois. Well, I don't know if she's originally from Chicago, but that's where she started out. Is now like a billionaire, has an empire. That amazes me. So kudos to Oprah. That's good stuff. Wow. All
Yes.
right. Thank you, Toya, for sharing some tea with us. Okay.
Yes.
Now, we did have some of our members of our BE community write in and share. And yes, okay, thank you. I'm looking here. First of all, thank you, Alfie. I love it. You would interview Tupac, it looks like. And then she did say, she clarified and said that Oprah is from Mississippi. So, yes, I do believe you're correct. So, thank you for sharing that. All right, shout out. Speaking of our BE community, we did have some questions from our BE community that they wanted to ask us as well. So, Toya, do you want to get started with those?
Yes. So someone from our BE community wanted to know, what is your dream vacation?
Mm, my dream vacation. I would say I'm right there with you, Toya. Like, honestly, as long as I can have some water, as long as I can have some sand. So I need to do more research on this, but Fiji would be nice. I know Chris and we're trying to make our way to Hawaii at some point. That would be nice. But where not only where there's sand and water, but I need like that crystal clear blue water. You know what I'm saying? Like where you can walk in it and you see your feet and you see some fish swimming around it. That freaked me out though the first time I saw that. I was like, you really gonna swim? But they're like, you in our territory. But all that to say, uh, I would love that. And I'm I feel like I'm an island girl. I'm a tropical girl. Like I love coconut. I love mango. I love, I love Caribbean music, so island for me would be great, some rice and peas would be great, some fresh fish would be great, fruits and vegetables. Like I feel like I'm an island girl. I can live in flip flops and tank tops like all year round. So all that to say, anywhere where I can like embrace that aspect like fully and freely, I would say I would be happy. I would be really really happy with that. So yeah. So I'm kind of there with you, Toya. And you shared
Yes.
yes, but is there anything you want to add though regarding your dream creation
Nope. Nope.
vacation?
I kind of already talked about my dream vacation. It's not like super specific. So,
Okay, gotcha.
and then we had another question from our BE fans. What is your favorite go-to recipe for quick and easy meals? I'll say for me, for the kids, spaghetti night is their favorite thing. Spaghetti and cornbread. Um, Ever since I got pregnant with Ryla, I can't eat spaghetti anymore.
Oh,
It's like it's a no go. But I'll do like chicken tacos or quesadillas as a quick meal for me.
I yes. So what happened with the spaghetti?
It was like a food aversion. When I would eat the spaghetti, it would, you know, without being too graphic, it make me throw up.
Uh,
And so even after I was pregnant, like it still gives me the same effects for some reason. It just didn't really go away. So I've tried to eat it, but that's
mhm,
just one of the things I can't eat anymore since getting
yeah.
pregnant.
Wow. It's amazing how your body changes. Like, I mean, Riley was the first one. She wasn't, she was the first one. So literally, Riley's about to be what? How old is Riley about to be? Is she about to be?
9.
So almost 10 years. Like you've just been like no spaghetti. That's amazing. Wow. All right. So I would say for me, quick and easy recipe, go-to recipe for dinner, roasted vegetables. Roasting vegetables is the best way to get flavor out of them. For me, I have found that appeals to both me and my husband because it's always a challenge trying to find something that we both like that's healthy. But roasting vegetables, I can pretty much roast anything. Vegetables we hadn't eaten in the past, like squash and zucchini. Taste great when we roasted beets. Tastes great when you roast them. Of course, you can do broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, green beans, like roasting sweet potatoes. Putting when you roast them with some olive oil, some salt, pepper, garlic, it just to me brings out the flavor. So roasted vegetables with some sort of seafood. So it could be grilled shrimp, it could be grilled flounder, grilled salmon, but just, roasted vegetables with some sort of grilled fish is usually my quick go to that's healthy that we both enjoy. So, yeah, that's my quick go to.
Awesome. So did you do you think, and this is another BE question,
Mhm.
do you consider Kanye West a gospel artist now?
Oh,
And should
wow.
he be allowed to receive gospel awards?
Wow. Wow. That's a good question. My whole thing is this. I mean, I get it. I get Kanye has, he's been around for, gosh, almost, well, pretty much 2 decades now. And he's huge. And he did do mainstream music before he started producing gospel music, before he professed to know Christ. My whole thing is, A, if you actively and vocally profess to know Christ, that's for me the first qualifier. And then B, if your album actually reflects the values and principles of Christ, then I don't care who you are. You could be Usher, you could be, Marilyn Manson or whatever. But if you actively, those two things are active in your life, current and presently, then I would say your album qualifies to be a gospel album. Quite honestly, I had a bigger issue with Snoop winning an
I
award for
was
a
I
gospel
was
album
about to say Snoop
than Kanye.
2018.
Yeah, and he like lit up the Stellars, the Grammys, whatever, with his project, and yet he's still high as he want to be every time you see him. And I mean, like, I feel like it was a great step in the right direction for him, and I know he did that to honor his late grandmother. And I pray he does, make the full leap into being an active Christian, a life transformed Christian. But I didn't consider that a gospel album, unless I would say this: if it was something he produced and he wasn't on it, and he just wanted to do a compilation of the greatest gospel artists out there, because the music was dope, don't get me wrong, maybe. But for him to put himself on it too and be like, yeah, this is my album, I like, I don't know. So yes to Kanye. The jury's still out for me on Snoop. What about you?
I say let's call him hip hop artists and leave it at that.
Call Kanye a hip-hop artist?
Just call him hip hop artists. Snoop, Kanye, I don't know if we have to necessarily call him a gospel
I
artist right
think,
now, but
I think the thing
or is
with
this a rapper?
Yes, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think the thing, for whatever reason, with gospel music, that category in particular is based solely on the content rather than the style of music. So, like,
Mm.
we know because of what our husbands do. We know that there's gospel rap, there's gospel hip hop, there's gospel R&B, there's gospel reggae, like, we know all of that. But the Grammys, honestly and truthfully, would put all of those artists in the same gospel category
Oh, that's true.
because of what they're talking about. You get what I'm saying?
That's true.
So it's I get what you're saying, but as far as the Grammys, it kind of be a different bag. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
good question though, y'all. Good question. All right, y'all. We look. I'm looking at the time like we done got caught up talking about ourselves. What? Okay. Are we gonna make it to the E? Let's see what we can do with E. Okay, events. That's what the E in T stands for. Events, i.e., current events. Okay, so first current event. Actually, you know what? We're gonna skip some of these, y'all. I'm looking at this time. Okay, we got to talk about it. It happened while we were out, but everybody's still talking about it. We got to talk about the slap heard around the world, okay? Because there's always, it seems like there's a new piece of information that's being shared ever since it happened. So if you don't know, I don't know how you don't know, but if you don't know, during the Oscars, which were broadcast live, world renowned famous actor Will Smith, husband of Jada Pinkett Smith. Uh, drink your tea, girl. Drink your tea. Basically, he walked on stage and slapped comedian Chris Rock after Chris Rock made in my opinion, very lame joke about Jada being featured in G.I. Jane 2 because of her close cut hair. Apparently, Jada Pinkett Smith suffers from a condition called alopecia, which has caused her to lose her hair over time. And so Basically when he said that joke, if you watch it, Will kind of chuckled a little bit, but then he looked at his wife and she was giving him that side eye, like it ain't funny. And that's when he apparently had an out of body experience and goes up on the stage, slaps Chris Rock, walks down the stairs, sits back in his chair, and proceeds to cuss him out, saying, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth." So, yeah, that was the synopsis. So, I guess what I really want to ask, because there's been so much that's come out since then. I mean, Will has stepped down, resigned from the Academy. I just heard recently that the Academy has banned him from appearing at any events for the next 10 years. I'm like, my gosh. Oh, and let me rewind and say, after that, he did actually win his first Oscar for
Woohoo.
for lead actor, best actor for the role he played in Richard, which was excellent, by the way. But I just hate the fact that all of that is now being overshadowed by this situation. So, long story short, my question is, do you think it was Chris's fault, Chris Rock, that is? Do you think it was Will Smith's fault? Do you think it was Jada's fault? Like, who do you think is at fault for this whole situation?
Ooh, that's wow. I don't know if we can really say it was one person's fault over the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like Jada was probably the most innocent person, like as far as like she didn't, she wasn't. I don't think she was signaling to Will like go slap that man. Like it's not. I don't think. I don't think. I think she was. I probably would have had an attitude too, if someone was talking about me and my hair or something. Because black women, that's a little touchy subject. Like when
It
you talk
is.
about our hair.
It is.
So yeah, I probably would have had an attitude. I don't think Ryan would have went on stage and slapped somebody in my honor. I don't think so. Because I would have been like, "What are you doing, dude?" I definitely think it could have been handled a lot better for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the slap was kind of like built up from the previous time that they were protesting the Oscars because Chris Rock did say some stuff about Will
Yeah.
and Jada.
Yeah.
So I felt like maybe it was like if he say one more thing about us, kind of like all kind of boiled up into that slap.
Yeah.
So I definitely thought the joke was mild.
Very and corny, but
It
go
was
ahead.
mild. So it must have been a lot of other things going on emotionally with
Yeah.
Will for him to actually like slap him and then cuss him out on national TV. I was like, oh my gosh, you would see that like in high school, like like that type of behavior. Like, oh my goodness, because I took me a minute to even realize it was. I was like, is it real? Is that real?
Yeah.
Because he
Exactly.
had a smirk on his face when he was walking back. And then when
Yeah.
he started cussing, I was like, oh, it's real.
Yeah.
That's like something you would see in the street. So
God bless him. God bless him.
I was like, oh my goodness.
So,
Will,
so
no,
you
no.
do you blame is Will the one you blame at fault here, or Chris?
I don't know if we
But
could really
too.
place blame on one person.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it was just a lot of like bad decisions, just
Yeah.
all wrapped up in one. And it did look like he was laughing at the joke, and maybe it took him a
Yeah.
minute to process what was being said, and then he looked at
Yeah.
Jada and was like, oh, this is not funny, and I got a little smirk on my face. He probably said, oh no, this is gonna be a conversation in the car ride home, like I
Yeah.
gotta go home with her, so I better do something. I
So
don't know what was
you
going
take
on in his head.
you take Jada out of the equation, but you would say it's kind of split between Chris and Will. Is that what you're thinking?
I think it might be split because I
Mm-hmm.
think it probably just wasn't that comment that set him off. I think it was
Yeah.
built up from even the stuff that Rock had said previously about Will and Jada
Yeah.
at the other Oscars when they were protesting the Oscars. So I
Yeah.
think it was like a combination. And Will and Jada, they got a lot of stuff going on in their marriage, and I just think it was just not a good moment. It was the straw
Yeah.
that broke the camel's back, and he just reacted.
Yeah, I honestly, my heart breaks for. I was praying for Will that next day. I was like, Lord, please Don't let him be suicidal, because I just felt like, you know how you have that morning after when you're like, did that just really happen? Did I really just do that? Like, because I just felt like the backlash was going to be huge. But okay, I got to talk about Jada for a minute.
And Alfie, I just want to point out too, Alfie said that she thinks that she was signaling him, but I do think their underlying marriage issues led to that
I
moment.
agree. I agree. And I mean, and you shared that a little bit too. I mean, we all know they have had their marital issues and are still working through their marital issues, and they just have unique dynamics in their marriage. But let me say this, even in light of that, because and I will continue to say this, that was a corny joke. I blame Chris Rock for the corny joke, because I'm like, you're a world renowned comedian and you talking about G.I. Jane too. Like, that's not funny to me.
Yeah.
Yes, women are sensitive about our hair, but I don't know if you saw the whole Oscars. I was actually dozing off by the time the slap happened. But earlier on in the show, Regina Hall, one of the hosts, to me had a much more controversial joke when she, and actually a much more controversial segment when she was bringing up all these single men on the stage for a COVID test because she's single, and talking about tonguing them down and stripping them and everything, you know, and patting people down. But she intentionally said during that time, she said, and let me get. I mean, Jada, I know you didn't, you didn't gave some permission here. So let me pull up Will up here too. She literally said that during her segment as well, which to me was more offensive than the hair, which was a corny joke. If it was a funny joke about the hair, maybe I'd be a little more offended. But it was a corny joke. I was, I felt more sorry for Chris in that moment than Will, but or Jada. But so that kind of was like, okay, this joke is what's gonna set you off to slap somebody on national television in front of the entire world. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I felt really bad for him. And when he got up and did his acceptance speech, and he was talking about, I love how Denzel is like the wise, the wise Brielle, the wise counselor of Hollywood. I love that, a Black Hollywood. But he was talking about, and I believe Denzel is saved, but all that to say, he basically referenced Denzel telling him, like, when you're at your highest, the devil, that's when the devil comes. And I don't think he fully understood what he was saying, because the devil came. The devil came. And the devil came when he walked up on that stage and slapped another black man on national television while it was broadcasting live. Like, literally, the devil came. If you didn't recognize it, I'm here to tell you. I don't care. I don't know if you know anything about becoming evil or care about becoming evil, but the devil came and he used you in that moment, Will Smith. So I pray, I pray that if nothing else, this like really draws you closer to Jesus, like for real, because that was the height. You had been praying and working and believing for this award, to win this award, nominated countless times, not not receiving it, not being acknowledged, and you killed it. King Richard was a phenomenal movie. He did an excellent job in it. And now, honestly, no one will really know or care because you chose to slap another black man. So I'm just gonna say I blame Will, and not because anyone else was not at play, but because we all have the responsibility of choosing how we're gonna respond to whatever situation we're put in. Whatever situation we're put in, it's all about how we respond. They could be the most dire circumstances, but we determine how we respond, and how he responded was not cool. Like, even if you want to
Yeah.
be ignorant about it, then be ignorant behind the scenes. Cuss him out behind the scenes. Him up behind the scenes. But on national television in front of everybody, not only did that make you look worse, but I mean, like, the ramifications of that, like, we're still experiencing the ripple effects of that. I have no idea what his career will look like after this. Some people say he'll rebound and it'll be no big deal because he's Will Smith. But other people are like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a lot of Will Smith's things that he was a part of acting in, a lot of that stuff has paused
Yeah.
production. And I don't know if it's like the whole cancel culture thing where they're pulling different things from him because of that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna close out current events with that because we got to move on to A. The A and T
Yes.
for advice. So let's do two. What would you say are your top two? Because we actually had a lot of great questions. Thank you, BE community, for sending us your questions. We're so grateful that you would even ask our opinion, and we hope that we do you justice. So, but yeah, what would you say are like your top two?
The first one and then
Okay.
that third one.
Okay. So, and this actually was written in by someone from our BE community. So I'll read it because I don't want to like not accurately summarize it. Okay. So here it is. One piece of advice I received, I think during premarital counseling, was to never talk about your marriage to other people. That piece of advice does not work well for me, and I sometimes have had to lean on friends when I have questions. So, I guess a more general question is what type of marriage/relationship advice have you received, and what has proved to be useful for you, and what has not? So, do you want to start us out, Toya?
Yeah. So I think for me, don't talk bad about your spouse to your family members was a piece of advice that we received during premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always want your spouse to be looked at in a positive light, even if y'all are
Yeah.
going through any type of drama in your marriage. You always speak positively about your spouse to your family members, because if there is drama going on between you and your spouse and you forgive them, sometimes it takes a lot longer for your family members to forgive your spouse for whatever
Yeah.
offending behavior or whatever is happening in your marriage.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that has been like, I guess, the best advice that we were given um in our marriage.
Yeah, and your
I don't
family, they're
yeah.
biased.
Yeah.
They love you. So they're biased. So if you're talking to his side of the family, they probably gonna look at you a little more crazy. If you're talking to your side of the family, they're probably gonna look at him a little more crazy. They're biased because they love you, and they may not know how or when you all have reconciled or worked things out. So they still looking at the person side eye, and y'all like, oh, we good now. So yeah, that's not the best move there.
But I do definitely think it is important to have like an inner circle to maybe discuss some of your challenges that you and your spouse are having. But your inner circle definitely has to be people that are like trustworthy and that are not going to be putting your business out there in the street, because we do need support in life,
Yeah,
because life is challenging. So you definitely need
yeah.
someone in your inner circle that you can really confine in and talk about different situations and issues in your marriage for
Yeah.
sure.
And really pray about who should be in that inner circle, because you want whoever that person or those people are to first and foremost be godly. You need godly counsel around you. So they definitely should be followers of Christ. And then they also should be people that are objective, people that are going to, not only, call him out on something, but if you need to be called out, they'll be like, hey sis, that's not the move. That, maybe you shouldn't have done that, or you should do something else next time. Like somebody that's not afraid to be honest with you as well. And so if you're going to have that close inner circle, I would definitely recommend that. And then also, I'm going to take it a step further and say I believe that every married couple should have another married couple or couples that they are surrounded by, that can be objective as well, that can serve as mentors, but also just as supportive peers, because you want to make sure you have that male female perspective as well. Therapy counseling is great, not just for premarital. Some people, they just have a counselor on speed dial like throughout their entire marriage. There's nothing wrong with that, but you want to make sure that you also have some married couples around you as well, so that you and your spouse can get that support and have that healthy outlet that you need. So yeah, but that's a great question, because you want to make sure that you're not putting your spouse out there, number one, to look crazy or anything, but then also that you have people around you that are objective, that can keep it real with you. So yeah, good stuff.
Yes.
All
There
right.
was another question too, that was sent in. What is the proper way to love your gay friends?
Hmm.
And I would say just to love them like you would love someone that is not gay, because
Hmm.
of God's greatest commandment to treat your to love your neighbor as thyself. So I look at that as even like your friends that may not be living the same type of lifestyle that you're living. But to just love them the way that you would love anyone else. Because that's one of God's greatest commandment is to love people.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Toy. I would agree 100% with that. The only other thing that I would add is I think oftentimes we focus on the behavior or the action of someone that may have a homosexual lifestyle. When I mean, we all have behavior and actions that are not pleasing to God in some way, shape, or form. But really, honestly, and truthfully, the only way that any of us can be changed, can be transformed, is through our personal relationship with God. And so, a lot of friends that I have that may have either actively embraced the homosexual lifestyle or may just be struggling with that particular area. Um, I always encourage them and talk to them about their personal relationship with God. Like, what does that look like? First of all, do you know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior? If you don't, let's talk about that, because really, honestly, and truthfully, God is the only one that can transform and change anyone. And he does that through our personal relationship with Christ. If someone does actively profess to know Jesus, then I'm like, okay, well, what does your time with God look like? Like, are you being honest with him? Because God can handle us being honest with him. I think sometimes we kind of shield certain parts of our lives away, like he don't already see it or know it, but because we're like, oh, either we're ashamed or we think that's too big or whatever. But it's like God cares about it all. He knows and sees it all. He just wants us to bring it to him. So we have to be at a place where we're willing to say, hey, God, this is an area I'm struggling in. Or I may not be struggling in it at all. I just blatantly disagree with what you say about homosexuality, and I'm in this relationship and I love it. Like, God is going to have to change that person. There's nothing that we can do about that besides love them and be there for them. And so I think loving them is definitely the key in that area. And then just reminding ourselves that God is the one who transforms lives. And so anything that we can do with any relationship we have, whether they're struggling with this particular area or not, is to love them, but encourage them to grow and cultivate their relationship with Jesus Christ. To have one first and foremost, but then to grow and cultivate it. So yeah. And then the last question, I do want to get to this for advice. We actually had a voice memo sent in from someone in our BE community, and they were really asking. I think this is a great question. I wanted to include this because I feel like a lot of women struggle with this, where they have a friend or a boyfriend or someone that they're in a relationship with, and that person is wavering in their relationship with God. You may call them lukewarm, or you may call them just going through a tough time where they pulled away from God, or they're not as close with God as they once were, or on fire for God as much as they once were. And this woman was like, well, how long do you stick around in relationships like that? How long do you stick around and try to support that person? So do you have any thoughts on that, Toya?
I do. I would say I think it's good to love them from a distance.
Yeah.
If they're not ready for you, then I wouldn't make myself available as much. Like, set some
Yeah.
boundaries if they're not ready. And you can love them from a distance and pray for them, be friends with them. But you definitely don't have to be open enough where you are closing yourself off to seeking others or dating others.
Yeah.
Um, so I would just say love them from a distance and pray that they get on track. And if they're the one for you, then they should already kind of be prepared before you make that next step. Like you shouldn't be the
Yeah.
one leading them, especially if you're a female. You should not be the one leading them to Christ.
Amen. Amen. Say that one more time for the people in the back.
If you're a female and you're dating someone that's wavering, you should not be the one leading them to Christ, like while you're dating. Like he should
That's one.
already be where he needs to be in Christ when you're dating or courting, however you want to call it. He needs to already be there. Just
Facts.
love them from a distance.
Facts. And I will say this, and I know this is hard. I'm usually the one, who is coming with some hard truth in my relationships, but this is the hard piece of truth that I've had to give women over the years. Sometimes you do need to not only put distance between a relationship, but actually cut the relationship. And I'm not saying cut the relationship like, I hate you, leave me alone. I'm not saying that, people. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying because we as women don't always know how to enforce the boundaries that we put between men that we are attracted to, that we want to be in a relationship with. And it's one thing to say, hey, we're just gonna be friends when you know you feeling him and he feeling you, and y'all ain't gonna just be friends because he's still gonna be calling and texting you late at night, and you still gonna be responding late at night, and your heart is wide open because you like this person. So in those scenarios, when you know the person is not where they need to be in Christ, and they're not in a position to be the support that you need, then you need to cut that relationship off. What do I mean when I say cut that relationship off? I mean, say, hey, you know what? I love you as a friend, as a man of God or whatever. I want God's best for you, and I want to give you time to get to where you need to be. So, let's revisit this in 3 to 6 months, but until then, I want you to do you. I want you to run and chase hard after God, and I'm going to be praying. Now, I'm not saying you need to be over here praying and not dating nobody. That's between you and the Lord. If you want to, if you want to pray for and move on with your life, that's another thing. But I'm saying the relationship needs to be cut where there's no contact between the two of you, at least one-on-one contact between the two of you, because we as women, we don't know always how to enforce those boundaries and maintain them. And then if the guy sees the doors open, he's gonna wiggle his way on in there any way he can, just because he likes you, he wants to be with you. It may not even be that he has bad intentions, but he needs to be solid in Christ in order to be of any type of support to you as a woman of God. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's my hard nugget of
Amen.
truth for today. But yeah, so I know we don't went over, girl. This tea was good. We need to do a tea talk a little more often. Sipping
I
tea.
know.
Saying. Okay, all right. But we're gonna go ahead and close out. Let's actually jump to the Black Dress Challenge, y'all. So we've been talking about tea so much. I just want to share a little bit about the benefits of drinking tea. Okay, like literally drinking tea, the physical tea. Okay. So for Black Dress Challenge, for those of you that may or may not know, we're working to fit into the black dress that is either been in the back of our closet or we had our eye on, is chilling in our shopping cart, but we want to make sure we look good in that black dress from the outside as well as the inside. Okay, so there are a couple things that I want to share with you about some teas that really benefit you as far as weight loss and just health in general. Okay, black tea is great for a lot of different reasons. It actually helps to serve as building your okay, here it is. I had to pull it up, y'all. All right. So it improves your oral health as far as your mouth is concerned. It prevents formation of kidney stones, in case you were wondering. It eliminates free radicals in the body, which can cause cancer. It aids in weight loss. Most women are constantly trying to lose weight. It keeps the digestive tract healthy, keeps everything moving in the right direction. It boosts your immune system, and it improves bone health and lowers the risk of ovarian cancer. We talked about cancer earlier, and then lowers the risk of diabetes. Okay, so those are some benefits of black tea if you're a fan of black tea. And then there's herbal tea. Now, herbal tea is not as oxidized as black tea, but it is good for you as well. And so, some benefits of herbal tea that I want to share with you is it can help you relax and unwind. Some people have difficulty going to sleep at night or just kind of shutting down after a long day. So if you're trying to unwind, you can try peppermint tea or chamomile tea. We talked about boosting your immune system. Herbal tea helps with boosting your immune system as well. It helps to reduce pain and soreness if you're experiencing any type of inflammation. A great tea for that is turmeric. And then, yeah, those are just a couple of things that help with herbal tea. And then green tea. Green tea is my personal favorite. It's actually what I've been trying to incorporate in my diet more, but it also helps with fat loss and it improves brain function. It helps you kind of keep you percolating at that level, protects you against cancer, and it lowers the risk of heart disease. So our BE or Black Dress Challenge, if you will, for you this week is for you to pick one of those teas, a black tea, a herbal tea, or a green tea, and incorporate it in your diet this week. We want you to maybe drink it, 3 times this week, either as you're trying to unwind from a long day or in between meals to kind of help level set and flush things out. But we want you to incorporate one of those teas in your diet this week. All right.
Yes, and join us next Saturday for our Girl Talk season finale. So we'll see you next Saturday. We'll have some special guests join us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Becoming Eva Today. See you guys soon.
See you soon.